ようございます。今日はラーメンを作ります。楽しみですね。じゃあ始めましょう。Yeah, I still masturbate while eating top ramen at a faster rate in the bigger quantities. It counts as rape when I'm slurping at this unbelievable pace. I turn the temperature up all the way to sweat up on my face. If you give no effort, if you got no money, then I got a cheap method. Cook it open, throw it in a pan and let it cook, bitch. Now that's a real education, fuck books. If you wanna make it in college, acknowledge all the flavors that be dropping mad knowledge on these pussy ass games. We got chicken and beef to boost the manhood. Anybody want a piece of me will have to get this ramen first. Start with the shrimp and then the fire. If you're fully blazed, then this shit'll get you higher. 35 cents a pack, 3 for $1. Unbelievable pricing. That's the future of a blue collar worker. And I'm talking about ramen. The shit'll fill you up when you're feeling like an African. Come back when you're in the state that I'm in and say hi to my homeboy Top Ramen.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and this is Regular Guy Training. Today I have
Travis
with me,
I did it right.
and for once he's not fucking up the shot with his car or his sneeze or whatever. But this ain't even over yet.
I promise you, I'm going to sneeze
yeah,
again.
we'll see what happens. So today's review is on the SomoGear PEQ-15. This is a Chinese company that produces clones that are like really cheap for like $270, right? So there's a lot of potential in this. I'm going to go over actually what I like a lot first, and then we're going to go into the rest of the review, I guess. And especially since some of you seen me put out a video introducing this thing a week ago, you might be able to put this together. But here's the issue, right? Well, not the issue. Here's the good stuff. The good stuff is I think it's listing this as an airsoft unit that gets them around whatever regulations and whoever governs lasers and stuff. I don't really know.
Don't tell you, don't worry.
Somebody's
I
gonna.
got you.
But this does not perform like every other civilian unit that's out there. It actually kind of performs as far as output, very similar to like a really watered down, like heavily used military issue PEQ-15. So that's neat. The laser is real powerful. The illuminator is pretty powerful, and you can even adjust the, how tight or wide it is. The only issue that I have with that is that you can't adjust it fairly, actually wide. You're only getting to about as tight as a lot of the IR units that are out there, matter of fact. But the contrast to that is that you can get the illuminator so tight that it just feels like you're just shooting more laser out of the thing. So, okay, whatever. It's powerful, and it's kind of tight on the illuminator. Okay, well, there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of issues, and I'm not the only person that had it. And what really does bother me is that I see a bunch of potential in this, because I did have somebody come through class, for instance, and it sort of sold me on the idea of giving it a shot because it's like $270 after it ships. But I had a guy come through class, night vision class, where we're at it like 3 straight nights of just going at it about 12 hours each night. And it survived. It held 0. It didn't really give him any problems at all. So I was like, holy crap, okay, well, I might give this a shot. And they're also constantly sold out, right? So I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's hype, but we'll see what the deal is. The problem is that it is hype, because there's a lot of issues that I'm dealing with, like right out the gate. Number one, the illuminator turrets and how you center that on your your IR laser and that kind of stuff. Some people have a lot of issues with the turrets freezing. Matter of fact, if you go to like their website, there's actually like troubleshooting for that kind of thing. I actually had the exact opposite problem, which tells me there's QC problems or lack of protection problems or whatever is retaining the little snickety bits in this are way too weak or whatever. Point is that I had the exact opposite problem. It's actually really, really easy to adjust these illuminator knobs. And under recoil, it moves all by itself. It kind of does whatever the fuck it wants. So that's an issue. And we did capture some of that on this. We kind of monitor what was going on with it closely after we started to have issues. But even the first day that I came out and shot it ever, like I was supposed to practice with pistol and ended up shooting 40 rounds of rifle. And even in that, it walked, the illuminator that is, a bit to wherever the fuck it wants. So that's a problem. The other problem is that the lasers, the IR and the visible laser, are not slaved properly. So if you think you're zeroed with the visible laser and then you shift to your IR, I think like the minimum, it seems, is that at 100 you get something like 3-4 inches worth of shift, and it's pretty similar for me too. So in order to get this actually zeroed for night vision, you're going to have to zero under night vision, which is actually a little bit harder to do because a lot of times you're using passive as a reference and then you're trying to drag it a little bit higher than that or whatever, based on whatever zero that you're using, or if you're offset or 100 yard point of aim, point of impact, doesn't matter. Point is that you have to manually, you're not slaved, you're not good, you have to go do IR stuff, paint it out there, make sure you're not getting washed out too much, put a shot group on and go from there. So it's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but if I didn't lose zero, I wouldn't care. Problem is that we lost zero
Several times.
Yeah. Okay, so we just shot a bunch of drills, and I suspect that everything moved, a whole bunch, right? And I also suspect that the illuminator is moving in like a non-uniform sense, right, with the laser, because we both noticed a shift in the illuminator versus the laser. But let's go ahead and line this guy up right on the target, right? Because we were on before. I was having issues making sure that we were perfectly centered, but that's fucking off.
That's really off. And just to clarify again, your optic passively is on the target.
It looks really fucky wucky because the laser is at like the edge of the glass.
Yeah.
So everything decided it was going to move almost together, basically. Right? Because the illuminator is shifting as well as the laser. Right? So everything just decided to fuck off to the right. Put 14, 14? Yeah.
Yeah. 14, 7.
Yeah, okay. So 14 magazines got put through this thing in total. So we did some daylight stuff just because I wanted some shoot footage on that rifle in particular. Also, I'm testing the optic that's on top of it. That's like the cheaper T2 for main point. So far, I like that. But, it's an 8 point, so everybody likes theirs so far when they start. I got a couple of gripes with it, but this is not that video. So, point is that, I wanted some daylight stuff. I wanted to get everything zeroed because everything's pretty much new on the gun. And then zeroed the freaking PEQ-15 clone, whatever. Once it actually started to get kind of dark, and then we did the IR stuff. We got nice and tight. We got zeroed. Okay, great. Not very much longer after that, it seemed that once the gun started to get like a little hot, like to the point where I'm starting to consider gloves. I checked it at one point, and like throughout the illuminator's doing whatever it wants, and I'm like, okay, I could probably use like some tape if this holds zero. If it holds zero, I could be like, okay, yeah, it's gonna have some jank, but as long as that component stays there, we're good. We're not good. We lost a laser zero several times. Mm-hmm. And the last one, the worst one, is by like feet.
I mean, it's an entire plate over.
Where like, just to make sure that I don't have any offsetting issues, because I'm testing to see if a laser works, I used 100 yard point of aim, point of impact zeros. So this, that reference being what it is, making sure that we had a 100 yard point of aim, point of impact zero. Very shortly thereafter, just using the dot as like a reference to see if I'm in the correct zip code. We weren't in the correct zip code like quickly. The second, like I said, the second that the gun got hot, it fucked off. It started to do whatever it wanted. The first one was not by so much, right? But it was noticeable. It's like, oh shit, that's over the top of his shoulder or whatever. The second one was bad because it seemed like once it started to lose zero, I got the gun warm again. We put like 4 more magazines through it pretty rapidly, like doing drills and stuff, not just mag dumping.
Yeah,
it,
not
but
not just burning it down just to be like, oh look, it's hot and it move. No, this is like
no, but like target transition sets, like
Yeah.
stuff up close and then throttle down, hit stuff over there, and just little mix up drills and that kind of thing.
as if you were actually training with it.
Yeah, well, exactly that. And the zero was really off, like feet, like. It took the illuminator with it too. Like they both decided they were gonna fuck off someplace because I went to go line it up using the dot on the aim point as a reference, and and you can see it. We're way off now, like way off by again feet. Point is though is that okay? Well, there are some guys that say that it holds 0, but there's a bunch of jank, right? There are some guys that don't. So all I got to say about that is buy the case of ammo instead, or actually save your money and like at least start with like a Holosun LS321. At least that's going to hold 0 in varying weather conditions and nonsense that you're going to deal with, things that you're going to actually put up. And frankly, I was hopeful, I was rooting for it as far as the potential is concerned, right? Because hey, I mean, I could deal with some jank if the laser didn't lose 0, I'm totally down. I can put up with whatever, right? And then you can use that until you're ready to save money for something else. Point is that it seems that much like a lot of Chinese stuff, shock.
I'm actually pretty sure the first thing I said whenever that came in was, Jesus, AliExpress, Christ, Chris, what did you buy?
Yeah, it feels really Chinese too. Like it's you pick it up and you're like, ooh, that's from China.
Yeah.
So this is truly a Wish.com PEQ-15, okay? Don't waste your money on it because it seems like the QC is kind of all over the place because of the different types and different versions and categories of jank that you're dealing with on it. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I would definitely stay away from it as an airsoft thing too, because it puts out enough power to fucking hurt you, A, and 2, you look, I've seen plenty of people play plenty of airsoft, and I've done plenty of force on force type stuff too. You clack this one good and hard time, and whatever 0 you had, and yeah, airsoft guns are good enough to where you can get them zeroed now. It's off. Okay, so I wouldn't mess around with it. I would spend the $270 on something else, and honestly, it should register as a pretty crimson red flag when one of the options that you get when buying it is to have potting in it. Like glue that holds electronic components together. Like that's the only real electronics protection that you actually get. So probably a red flag, but every once in a while you find something that's pretty inexpensive but isn't made cheap. This is not that. This is both of those things. Stay the fuck away from it. Actually get night vision equipment. And that's the whole purpose of this video is don't fuck around like I did or you're going to find out. Makes sense? So
Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
yeah, I mean, very, very shortly we figured out, okay, this is not going to work.
I mean, the illuminator moving around wouldn't be so bad if it just moved a little bit. But there's a clip in here.
It'll move a little bit sometimes, and sometimes it'll move a lot.
Well, there's one shot string in here where you were moving it, and every time you hit the illuminator, it was in a different spot.
Yeah, and there's no consistency in when it wants to move, like you said. After some shot strings I'll see the laser high center of the thing, or it'll be way off to the left-hand side, or it'll walk with the laser in one particular instance. Like when we really, really lost 0, that illuminator basically went with it almost.
Followed it.
So no, don't fuck around. I did, so you don't have to find out. Okay? Don't have hope. Stop with the hope. Good stuff is expensive, yet again, fucking wild. All right? And even still, the Holosun LS321 is already a friggin' steal at like $700-800, whatever it is now. And I would buy that over a Steiner literally every day of the week. And I don't think a single video is going to go by when I do night vision stuff that I don't talk shit about Steiner because they deserve it. But anyway, that's all I got on this. This is more rambling than anything else, just to say, hey, don't fucking do it, right? But, there you go. So really, really quick, fast, and in a hurry, we figured it out. And honestly, if anybody was going to break something, that was questionable, or people are like, oh, maybe it works. No, it's definitely going to be us. So, you know,
Yeah.
have fun with that. Night vision stuff still sucks to buy.
For good guy training where gear goes to die.
And life is a fucking nightmare. All right, so that's all I got on this, guys. If you want to support the channel, it'd be awesome. Taking care of something like a super thanks, just throwing a couple of nickels at me because apparently I'm homeless. You know, and that especially exists if you don't want to commit and do the whole monthly thing through Patreon. But if you want something out of the Patreon thing, $41 a month gets you as much training as you want, unless it's something like a private class or a logistically intensive class. And this is just for obvious business reasons, like a vehicle class, right? Because I got to bring the cars in and take them away after we explode all the glass and fuck everything up in them. So, but everything else, you can, you know, people rip me off all the time on this, and that's sort of the point. It's kind of like a gym membership with gun stuff. So, you know, that exists if you want to use that option. If you want to check us out on Facebook, fucking great. Classes are all over the schedule, and I'm adding to them intermittently as we go on, because I'm in that window where I can start adding things. You know, especially stuff like vehicle classes or other stuff that people want to go check out. And so there's all that. I'm done with the plugs. Listen, guys, regular guy's firearm is the last defense against tyranny. Easy. That was fucking terrible.